Hey, welcome back to Under Football Crew once again. We have changed the time up a little bit. Obviously, last week was the first show. We had Mark Bosnich. Do go and check that out as well if you have the time. We had some fantastic stories over there. But from here on in, every Monday, 12 p.m. midday UK, 9 p.m. Sydney time. And then for the rest of the people, please work out all the timings of different time zones and whatnot. But from here on, it will be on Mondays, midday UK and 9 p.m. Sydney time. And we're going to talk about all the top news that's been going around and really try and provide our opinions on it and see what you guys have to think about it as well. But before we get into everything, first of all, Scott, how you doing?
So thrilled to be here again with you boys, my two favourite Chelsea fans. I feel much better if we just maybe we don't need to talk Arsenal tonight. I don't think the Chelsea base listening will want to hear about that. So I'll be even better if we skip the Arsenal talk, boys.
Oh, don't you worry. Arsenal will be the first topic we talk about. It's going to be very, very interesting. RJ, my man, how you doing?
Brilliant. Scott's still recovering from the bee sting from mighty Brentford, and the audience will take notice of Scott's nice Brentford jersey he's got somewhere lying around. I know he's got it there somewhere. But in all seriousness, boys, just thrilled that the Premier League's back. I've always enjoyed talking about the off-field action with the transfers, which we'll unpack, of course. But for me, it's all about that 90 minutes on the pitch and breaking that down and analysing the beautiful game. So, yes, welcome. Great to be back, boys.
Brilliant, brilliant. All right, well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show started. I love that intro, man. I love that intro. I feel like playing that all throughout the show. But yeah, maybe we might throw that intro in again right at the end just to finish this. That's good. Okay, boys, we've got a lot to talk about. Already we've got nearly 30 people live. Guys, smash the like button as soon as you're coming in. It's vital for the growth of so many things, not just this channel, this show, and also check out the pinned message. As you know, this is a collaboration between the other side of the coin and It's a Football Thing podcast YouTube channel. The boys RJ and Scott run that channel over there, including Robert, who's a Man United fan and a very close friend of RJ and Scott. So do check out that pinned message. The link is readily available for you guys. All you need to do is just click on it and go and subscribe to the boys and their channel. They produce unbelievable content, honestly. I've literally watched a couple of their shows and I've watched it throughout. I've just listened to them throughout. So if I'm saying that it's an interesting channel, believe me, you're going to like it as well. So go out there and just click on it and subscribe. But yeah, nearly 50 while I've been speaking. So smash that like button and get those likes up to 50 straight away. And if you're here for the first time as well for my channel, make sure you subscribe as well. All right, boys, let's get straight into this. I think the first point, I know Scott's going to hate it, but we do need to talk about Arsenal. We really do. I mean, I know I've bantered them all throughout the week, and I suppose some of the Arsenal fans bring it on to themselves as well. That's why I bantered them. But I've always got respect for Scott and his perspective and whatnot, because we can have a proper conversation. Scott, I'll go to you first up. Obviously, Arsenal losing to Brentford. I mean, Brentford looked like the much better team throughout that whole time. This is a particular team that's not been in the Premier League ever, if I'm correct, right? And they've beaten Arsenal, who've got a very, very good history. As all Arsenal fans like to tell me, you guys are all made out of history and the Invincibles and whatnot. Brentford goes out there and beats you guys. And Arteta, I can't, where I want to start from here is, how is Arteta still in the job? That's what I want to know. And the logical standpoint from you, Scott. I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans that will give me X, Y, Z answers, and I don't really take them seriously. But I just want to ask you, how is this man who's finished 8th, I think, the last 2 seasons, and now a loss again. How's he still around this football club?
Boys, you know what I'm like. I try and keep it very balanced, try and keep it realistic too. So I know he's finished 8th back-to-back. The first one you've kind of got to write off. He wasn't there too long. He'd inherited what Unai Emery had left. Last season, shambolic. And I think that he's really going to feel the heat from the home crowd. We spoke on our show a lot about some clubs that we thought would benefit from having fans back. Arsenal, I don't think are one of them. The Emirates can get hot when things aren't going well, and I don't know how that heat's going to go. But maybe it starts from the top. Quite simply, Arteta is there because the owners have left him there. The owners are content with the fact that we're still making lots of money. We are well and truly a business. You guys are a business as well, but your owner, like RJ always says, is in the business of winning. And that's why Chelsea are cutthroat. And as much as you get bantered for that, you're winning things. You're the champions of Europe, and you wouldn't have been the champions of Europe had you not sacked your manager. The problem for us, Arteta is cheap. Arteta is a scapegoat. Because if we go bad, people are going to go straight to Arteta instead of the owners. He's the perfect human shield decoy. I think he's out of his depth. I think he's lost the squad at this point. And I don't see this process getting very far. I don't think we beat Chelsea. I don't think we beat City. So he is going to be 0-3 and most likely in the relegation zone, which is concerning.
See, that's where I just don't understand. And RJ, I'll bring you in very, very soon. I just want to quickly ask Scott another question. Is that, fine, you've got Arteta, who you've said that is getting used as a scapegoat. He's the novice in this whole situation and whatnot. But how's the owners? Surely they have some pride for the football club that we got to start winning. Like, how are they allowing for this to go through?
I think you're wrong, man. That they don't have pride in Arsenal. Look, and I'm guilty of this as well. We have pumped out 3 amazing new kits this season. I've bought every kit for myself. I've bought every kit for my son. Pumping money into the club like there's no tomorrow. We have more merchandise drops than we do points sometimes. In 3 more rounds, we'll probably drop 6 new ranges of merchandise and we'll be on 0 points. So they're making money, and these American owners are disengaged. They own the Rams. They own the Denver Nuggets. Those are the passion sports for them. That's what Kroenke's grown up watching. He doesn't care for football. As long as we're profitable, we've still got a queue for season tickets. We're still filling the stadium. And we're still selling our merch like there's no tomorrow. We're profitable, and that's what matters to these owners.
Wow, man. It just seems like even if you get relegated and still be profitable, I don't know whether that's possible or not. Probably is.
We aren't getting relegated.
I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. That seems like these owners, wouldn't give a two cents about it. But Ajay, let's now talk about the whole Lacazette and Aubameyang situation from someone, both of us, outside of that whole Arsenal realm. And we'll go back to Scott about this. I've just seen a couple of videos today about the whole Aubameyang and Lacazette. Initially, I thought they might have been sick. I found it a bit strange that has both of these players sick. But then I've now watched a few videos, your Lee Gunner and a few other people out there who make sort of balanced sort of conversations. And they're starting to think that maybe it's not sickness. Maybe the players have turned on Arteta. Like Lacazette apparently is on his last year of the contract, and there's been talks that they were trying to move him on and try and see if they could get someone like Tammy Abraham. Obviously, Tammy Abraham's now moved on to Roma. And apparently Aubameyang has just had enough. And now you have 2 strikers that possibly is revolting against the club and could possibly not face Chelsea as well, which is good news for us. But have you read up or seen any sort of news as such, or do you still think that surely it's just sickness?
I think it is sickness, but I think sickness in a different manner. I think it's just sickness of pretending to play for a club that perhaps is banking too much on its good history and pride. And while I fully agree with Scott, because obviously he's got the intimate knowledge of his club and he's a passionate fan, I think unfortunately the owners aren't as invested in the general success of the club on the field as well as off the field. So commercially speaking, they're doing a great job. So a big tick on the balance sheet. But from a fan's perspective, they don't really care too much, it seems, which is quite sad. Not for us, because our owner seems to balance both sides of the coin very well. But Aubameyang and Lacazette. So what's the situation there? Lacaz's got a year to go, I believe, on his contract, if I'm not mistaken, Scott.
Yeah.
Aubameyang, as you've said many times to me and online, he's a confidence player. When he's on, he's really on. And when he's off, boy, he's just non-existent. And I think the Arsenal we're seeing, unfortunately, they were once the Invincibles, but now they're the Invisibles. They're just not the same team. And it's quite sad from a rival. I know the live chat will be like, what's sad about seeing Arsenal on decline? It's sad because you want to be able to have a genuine competition, and they're just not giving it to us. But those two players specifically, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I genuinely believe that. Whether or not they go both together, that would be quite a dramatic exit. But in 2021, nothing's a surprise these days. But I do believe it will be first down. It's just a matter of which one pulls the gunner trigger first. But I think it'll be, personally, I think it'll be Lacazette first because of his contract situation. But Aubameyang will be not too far behind unless they throw some mega dollars to keep him there. But is he even worth keeping in his current state? I'll leave that to the live chat and you guys.
Scott, I want to now hear from you. I mean, did you initially think it was sickness, or I mean, what's the feeling now that there's all these other sort of rumors that are coming above the ground now about this whole situation of Lacazette and Aubameyang?
No, I don't think it was sickness. And let's be real, Aubameyang has form with this kind of stuff. There were incidents at Dortmund before he left as well. So I'm not surprised. They're very close mates. Could be something to do with the fact that Lacazette was potentially going to be sold. Might be Aubameyang backing a mate. But to me, even if you're not 100% well, right, you're the captain of the club. Yeah. It's the opening game of the Premier League season. Mate, you should be buzzing to get on that pitch. Even if you're not 100%, we played Balogun, who is a young talent, but he's not ready to be starting in the Premier League. Yeah. If I'm the captain, I'm there. I may not be 100%. I'll say to Arteta, look, start me, give me at least 45. I want to play. This is the opening game. I want us to start well.
Did he play against Spurs? Did he play against Spurs?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. My head is just spinning with Brentford still. I'm still having trouble processing it. But yeah, I just think, look, he was never a captain. He's not captain material. And I really rate Aubameyang, but he isn't a captain, and he again has shown that. He was late to a North London derby last season. You don't come late for that. Yeah. Some of his off-field behaviour is questionable. And look, even if you don't like your manager, this is not what should be happening. You rock up and play because you know what, you represent the fans and you're being paid handsomely to do so. Get on that pitch and play. So, but I actually think they're both going to go. My gut tells me they're both gone.
I mean, if what you just said in regards to Aubameyang backing his mate, I find that so low. Like, this is a club that's paying you big money. Aubameyang, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, the highest paid player at the moment at Arsenal.
One of the highest in the Premier League. Like, he's well paid.
That's insane. I mean, sure, you want to back a mate. That I get that. Like, we all back our mates. Like, do you know what I mean? But not in the sense where you jeopardize your work. So I find that very, very strange, honestly.
Who knows, Miz? We don't know. But look, the reality is the club at this point is a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I know we're not going to go down the Chelsea-Arsenal rabbit hole too much, but, mate, I'm predicting pain again.
Look, man, I hope we beat you guys. I want to see what RJ has to say just quickly on it before we move on to the next topic. Guys, we've got literally 90 live. Let's get the likes up to well over 50. Let's get the first target of 50. And please check out the pin message. 90 of you guys, please go and subscribe to It's a Football Thing podcast. Literally, the link is there for all you guys, 90 people. It's a collaboration. This particular show is a collaboration between the other side of the coin and Down Under Football Crew, where we're going to talk about any big ticket news out there and then see what you guys have to think as well. So please, let's do that. Let's get those likes up, guys. Well over 50 straight away if you're enjoying it. RJ, we know what Arsenal did to us last season. You know, we had the swagger and whatnot, but for some reason, these guys just pull a rabbit out of the hole, out of the hat, out of nowhere against us for some reason. But we seem to be in a good shape at the moment. We played Palace and we look very, very sharp. Considering I was a bit worried with the players' fitness and whatnot, but we took care of them. Yeah. Lukaku seems to be ready to be unleashed against Arsenal. That's the talk. N'Golo Kante seems to be ready as well for Arsenal. We have to be beating them. I mean, if Lacazette and Aubameyang are not playing, which is what the word is at the moment in the streets, that they're probably not going to feature again. You know, if Brentford's putting them away 2-0, we can't let them just bounce back off that. Like, we need to make sure that we take care of this business and really, really beat them and ensure that we're continuing on in our title charge as well, which I truly believe that we should be in the mix of being in the title chase this season.
Absolutely. As I said on another podcast that I'm on, the Balanced Blues Brothers, earlier today, that if I'm Thomas Tuchel and you know, we've had the history, recent times where Arsenal, despite their topsy-turvy form, have found a way to elevate themselves and deliver a worthy performance that was once like their good old days. But Tuchel needs to really get the group together and really help us overcome these demons and not treat this game as being one that's going to psychologically affect us. In other words, it just needs to be a professional job. It's just looking at Arsenal like any other team. It's 3 points. Don't worry about the bad back pass from Jorginho. Don't worry about that silly goal we conceded. Don't worry about these blips in form against this somewhat bogey team of ours. It's a new season. We're the European champions. This is the mindset he's got to develop into this squad, because you can't worry about what happened yesterday. You can only worry about today and going forward. So if I don't agree, Scott's saying naturally he's concerned about his team lost to a newly promoted Brentford. We've had a 3-0 win against Crystal Palace, who, for the record, we've been really strong against in recent seasons anyway. So that was to be expected somewhat. But my perspective on the matter is that this will be a lot closer than what people perhaps are making it out. And what I mean by that is that you've got the issues of a false sense of security, which have plagued us in the past, but also Arsenal, on the other side of the ledger, they are going to rise again, knowing that A, they hate us and they genuinely want to get a result, but also I think they were found out a little bit by Brentford. They were probably expecting an easier type of opponent, but to the B's credit, they really came out with a lot of courage and a lot of intensity and weathered the early storm that the Gunners did, because they started the game pretty good, Arsenal, from memory. The first 5-10 minutes, they were looking pretty slick. But then Brentford, once they weathered that storm, were able to really impose themselves, and Arsenal just did not know how to respond properly to it. Whereas I think against us, for everything that they've done wrong, they usually seem to mentally, in their mind, get it right. They focus. They don't have these blips in form. They don't have goalkeepers running out of their box, basically missing the ball even though it was impeded. You know what I mean? All of these little 1%ers that they seem to get wrong against these mediocre teams, they get right against us. So that's why I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people make it out. But yeah, I'm keen to see what the live chat has to say about that one.
100. Before we move on to the next topic, Scott, I just want to quickly ask you this because this could happen. It could happen. Obviously, you guys lost to Brentford, possibly lose to us, and then you got City. You could go 3 matches, 0 points. I mean, that is not a great way to start the season. And from there, it becomes an uphill battle. Do you know what I mean? If that is the case, would that be enough for you to then say, "Now we need change immediately"? I believe there's talks about Antonio Conte. I mean, is there any truth behind that at all, Scott?
Conte will not work at Arsenal. You boys know personally, firsthand, Conte likes to come in. He likes to have the big bucks available to sign the big players.
Yeah. Well, he's already said that apparently he would like Lautaro Martinez as one of the big money signings.
He's not getting the money he wants. There's absolutely, I'm no in the know, but I know that Conte's not coming. Look, I think he's going to be in real trouble. I don't think it's going to be the Chelsea and City results that put him really under the pump because, quite frankly, you are going to go into the game against us as big favourites. You should be beating Arsenal, right? Let's make no mistakes. Look at your squad. You're the champions of Europe. If you don't beat us, you've failed. And it's the same with City. I suspect City are going to really bounce back from that defeat to Spurs.
100.
And they're going to come back hungry and potentially with new signings. I think it's more the games after that, the next couple. And I think it's Watford and I'm not sure who the other one is. But it's those results. If he can't pick up points after Chelsea and City, I think he might go. I honestly think he might go.
So you reckon even if he loses against Chelsea and Man City, he's still going to be around?
Yeah. Be serious with me, man. Do you think, put yourself in the position of a neutral, do you think Arsenal have a chance against Chelsea? You've just bought Lukaku in. Your squad is already insanely better than ours.
I personally think you guys don't, but I just find it very difficult how the Arsenal fan base can accept a defeat and still keep a manager. Like, that's what I find the whole psychology of that fan base. Like, I find that so strange.
We aren't. You guys are used to it. Chelsea have been ruthless for years. You boys have been. You've been spoiled to a manager who doesn't take anything less than being at the top. Yeah, I think Chelsea fans, and this isn't a knock on you, mate. I wish I was in the position you're both in. Chelsea fans are very spoiled. Yeah, we're not in a position where we can be spoiled. So I don't think the Chelsea and City results will be what puts his head on the chopping block. I think it's after that. I can see some comments in the live chat saying, Arsenal always have a chance. Of course we have a chance. I mean, we did the double overview last season. On our day, we can play magnificent football.
That's the thing.
But Chelsea should be winning that game. I would say, and I'm trying to speak on your behalf, tell me if I'm wrong, but if we lose to you, of course I'm going to be upset, but I'm not going to be angry about it. I think if Chelsea lost, you two would probably be more upset or angry than I would.
But see, that's the... I don't know, RJ.
Let me just jump in here. It's a defeatist attitude. I know it's a bit of a realist, but at the same token, if that was the case, why even play the league if it's all based on paper?
I find that strange.
You've already got it set up because it's not. And in fact, we continue to see these dramatic results. The fact that you've already, it's hedging yourself. You're accepting the loss. It should happen. If we win, bonus. Like, you can't have it both ways, mate.
Yeah, this is what I find. I can't believe Arsenal, Scott, I'm not having a go at you, but I've seen other Arsenal fans feel the same way. RJ, you will testify on this. And the live chat, I know this is a very much a Chelsea-centric channel, so the live chat that will have a lot of Chelsea. Even when we were having the season under Frank Lampard, the transfer ban season, I'll tell you right now, Scott, we would face the top of the top teams. Yeah, we kind of maybe felt that we would lose, but we still got angry when we lost. Like, we were like, you know what? Nah, we need to put out a fight. We need to put out a fight. No one was talking about process this, process that. I know that those buzzwords were getting thrown out, but the fans knew what the standard was. Many will even tell you that even on the transfer ban season, a lot, even myself, expected to be top 4 because I just had the feeling that the squad was good enough to be top 4. I can't believe this is what Arsenal has done to the fan base, to the point where you guys are just saying, I mean, it's expected. I'm not going to be angry. I just find that strange.
You've both been very, very spoiled. And it's okay for RJ to say, oh, it's defeatist. You're sitting on the fence. You can't have it both ways. Listen very clearly to what I'm saying, because maybe my messaging's not clear. Do I think we will win? No. Do I think we should win when you compare our squads and our managers? No. Do I think we have a tiny chance? Absolutely, because on our day, we can. But boys, you've just signed one of the world's best strikers. You spent God knows what last season
on Scott, aren't you mad about that? Are you upset?
I'm mad about it. Listen, I can't remember who it was, but someone tweeted this the other day in the Arsenal fan base, and I read it and I said, yep, that's exactly where I'm at now in my older days. When I was 21, 20, I would get angry about it. I would let it ruin my whole weekend. I'm still gutted about it. Surely you can both see I'm gutted that we lost to Brentford.
You should have.
I'm not letting it ruin. I'm not letting it ruin me or make me angry, and I'm not going to be unrealistic. Like, it is what it is.
I agree with you, Scott. There's no doubt about it. There's no sugarcoating it. We are clear favourites for this match. But what gives me cause for concern is the fact that our recent head-to-head history suggests that you are more than just a small chance. Yeah. You guys have found a way to get the job done.
Yeah,
so that's why
exactly.
If we belted you like Crystal Palace 4-0 and 4-1, I'd be like, okay, you've got no chance. But the fact that you guys seem to turn up, I'm sure you do, mate.
RJ, FA Cup win, Arsenal, last 2. I think the preseason game was the first game we've beaten them after a while.
You guys could have beaten little old Arsenal, hey, from down the road. Little old Arsenal. Look, if we do, I'm going to rock up to I'll be in the broadcast studio at 6 p.m. I'll be having my dinner here waiting for the show to start. But, boys, let's be realistic. It's a very outside chance. But I know we're probably going to look at this game again later in the week, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will.
Too far down the rabbit hole.
100. I just found that whole thing a bit interesting, how the mindset of an Arsenal fan. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a Arsenal preview, of course. We always have the preview. But we're going to try and bring in some Arsenal fans as well to see exactly if the mindset's a bit different from each other, or are they all in the same box. Declare, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. As much as I think we are about to unleash a hungry cage beast in Lukaku and Ben White, Arsenal is cornered animal after a loss. Chelsea has to be cautious. Cautious. 100% believe that. I mean, look, we know when we had that swagger last season as well, when we kind of believed that we should be beating Arsenal, both under Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel, we did end up doing it. So I am cautious, but at the same time, I'm optimistic. I know what our team is capable of, and yeah, we are the favourites. We should go in there with the swagger, and we should be doing our job. As RJ said, it's just another team. 3 points. Let's get it. Let's bag it. All right, let's talk about the next topic. It is the one Romelu Lukaku, which is very interesting. Obviously, we talked about Arsenal. Let's talk a little bit about Chelsea now. RJ, go to you. Romelu Lukaku, Thomas Tuchel has made the announcement. I believe you might have seen Arsenal lose to Brentford and just said, you know what? I'm going to unleash the beast. The beast needs to be unleashed on that match. And he announced it a week ahead. Yep, he's going to be playing against Arsenal. Regardless, because I think he comes into training, I think tomorrow. Today is a day off for the whole team. Tomorrow he comes into training, but he's already made the discussion that, yep, he's going to start. How do you feel about this, man? I like this statement, man. Putting it out there that the big boy is coming, is starting. Well, I don't know whether he starts, but he will definitely be featuring.
Well, given it's only little old Arsenal, he should just turn up and don't worry about training because it's a cakewalk, apparently. So what's the point, right? But in all seriousness, I think it's a good thing that he is already going to get some sort of involvement in the game. Me reading in between the lines, that suggests that he won't start because how much chemistry and understanding are you going to get in a few days? If he does start, it will be quite a an observation to watch to see how he goes. But I think he'll ease his way into it when we're 4-0 up at some point and go from there. But no, in all seriousness, let's keep it level here. I think it's just going to be exciting to see him back in a Chelsea shirt, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm really keen to see how he's going to be deployed. And obviously, we're not going to get the full 100%, conditioned model from the very get-go. But I'm really intrigued to see, A, who he comes on for, assuming he's coming from the bench. So who does he swap with? Do we change our structure in any way? And also, once he's on the pitch, just watching him with a fine-tooth comb in terms of what's his movement like, what's his attitude, what's his natural chemistry with some of the teammates that he's only had a few days in training with. Just picking up on all these little cues to get a bit of an indicator as to, is this the mega superstar that we all think he is and have seen at my other team, Inter Milan? Or is it someone here that's a bit of a false positive, which, my viewpoint, I'm more than thrilled about signing someone in his prime, but very happy that Tuchel came out and clarified nice and early, transparent as always, that Romelu is ready to rock and roll and he's going to take some part. Touch wood, he stays fit ahead of the game. So very excited, guys.
100. Sibian, thanks so much for this comment as well. Kante back as well. Yep, that is the other news, that he is back from his slight injury that he's picked up.
Yeah.
We'll have another Chelsea sort of show maybe either tomorrow and whatnot. Talk about the whole Kante situation and the need for a midfielder, because I feel like Kante will pick up these little injuries here and there, and we do need some depth there. But Scott, Thomas Tuchel coming out and just stating that Romelu Lukaku will be facing Arsenal. There is no doubt about that. He's coming back for training tomorrow. We'll have a whole week. Obviously, the game's on Sunday. Last season, we all knew we lacked something up front. This season, defensively, we've always been solid under Thomas Tuchel. Midfield always looks brilliant. Now we've added that big player up front, along with the likes of Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, your Timo Werners, Pulisic, Callum Hudson-Odoi. I mean, how are you feeling with the big player? I mean, do you think? I mean, let's talk a little bit about the Arsenal defense. You got Ben White. You guys got him the big money signing. I think Pablo Mari played the other day for you guys against Brentford. I'm not really sure whether I think Gabriel played as well. I think so.
No, he was still back from the Olympics. Potentially could be Rob Holding. I'm not sure if he's back. If Rob Holding's
Murray
fit,
was average.
Murray didn't have a good game. Murray's pace is not great. But, I mean, Lukaku's not there for his blistering speed, but you've got some other quick players. Lukaku is someone I really like. I remember when you guys were talking a lot about the Haaland and the Lukaku stuff. I remember saying to RJ, Lukaku is a prime signing. He's a guy he's going straight into my fantasy Premier League team.
Yeah, I'm hoping to put some space and get him in.
he'll be good. It's going to be so interesting to see how he plays. Look, Ben White did have a shocker, but in his other preseason games he looked good. So I'm hoping it was just a really off game for him. Kieran Tierney didn't have a great game, which, again, that's out of character. I'm just hoping we come back at a higher standard of defence, that we learn some lessons from that defeat and we come back hungrier. But it's going to be hard to keep Lukaku quiet, I think. So I'm nervous about him. Do you mind? I just want to point out there was something I saw in the chat. There's a friend of mine, Dennis, who runs the Sideline Talk pod. He said that the Arsenal game, there's a protest being planned. So the fans are looking to protest against the Kroenke group before the game. Right. And the game's gone to general sale. Now, Arsenal home games very rarely go to general sale. And he's saying that's a first for a London derby. And he's over there, so he would know. So maybe the fans are going to try and make themselves heard. But Lukaku, if he's up against Mari, he's going to punish him. I think Lukaku is really going to give us grief.
Is I've said this with RJ not that long ago, that we've lacked that particular striker as soon as they walk out of the tunnel and, they all line up, that presence, that beastly presence that you get worried about, that, oh my God, 90 minutes against this guy. Is Lukaku the kind of player, when you being the Arsenal fan, does he give you that sort of feel that, oh man, this is going to be a hard day's worth of work and it's going to be very difficult as a fan to watch this? Do you get that feeling when you see someone like Lukaku walking in?
Look, I think it's going to take him some time as well. I'm nervous because I've seen what he can do at Inter and what he does to the Belgium team. But I also think as well, there's got to be a little bit of a degree of readjustment. I still wouldn't put it past him to bang a goal in.
I mean, he's Premier League proven. He's played in the Premier League. So
yeah, he has. It's been a while. He's been playing in the Serie A, which he's played at a different pace. So, yeah, I think he'll need a couple of games to really hit.
Yeah.
I think you're lucky, Scott, to be honest. I know you'll probably say, when is it ever a good time to play us? But the fact that he hasn't had time to find his feet is probably an opportunity for Arsenal to perhaps, skip the jump a little bit here. That's why I said before, I'm most interested to see, with his very limited time, just how influential he can be for this particular game. And I actually think it'll be dictated by how the ebb and flow of the game is going anyway, meaning the better we're going, the more time he gets, the more tighter it is. What kind of adjustments will Tuchel make, knowing that this guy doesn't fully get it in terms of his system? But, either way, he'll give any back line a struggle because physically he's just so overpowering. So even if the balls come directly to feet and back towards goal, good luck wrestling him off the ball. Or if we've got our wide wing backs patrolling the width, whipping in some balls, he will attract a lot of attention. So he's just going to be fascinating to watch all around. So Paul Gunners, watch out.
How do you reckon he'll go, Miz? You confident that he'll make a big impact straight away?
Straight away, I don't know. I'm with RJ. I think because he's just literally going to start training again this week. So all of this last week, there was a whole heap of hoo-ha about him traveling and signing, stopping over at Monaco. He was training at Inter. So it's not like he's very far away from fitness. This week will be a good way to come back into fitness. But I do believe, I don't think he will start, but I think he will come off the bench and get decent amount of minutes to get the engine up and running. But as RJ said, it all depends on, if it's still 0-0 at 60th minute, you'll see Lukaku come in and he'll probably get 30 minutes, or maybe 55th minute, 50th minute, he may even come on. But if it's, say, 2-0 up at 60th minute, maybe wait a little bit longer until it's sort of like 65th, 70th minute, give him 20 minutes of good run, and then probably against Man City, we could possibly look at a start for him. And then from there on, I think, I've already said it, I expect him to score 20-plus goals for us. If we're going to be challenging for the title, he's going to be scoring 20-plus goals. And Lukaku's that type of a striker. The chances that we've made, even if you look at the chances against Palace, there were a couple of really decent crosses from Mason Mount and Alonso from either sort of flanks. You just know that someone like Lukaku would eat that up. Would literally eat that up.
And on top of that, people just somehow conflate that he's just this potent finisher. But go look through your stats and watch a few games of him.
Sets up a lot of goals.
He's an assister as well because he attracts that attention. He's really good at playing those 1-2s. He's just really good at pulling defenders out of position. And in games where we're sort of trying to absorb a bit of traffic and play out from the back, I would love to see if he gets a ball hoisted up to him at halfway and just seeing him release the likes of Werner or Havertz on the fly because of their pace that they've got. So his assist game, or his assist before the assist, is low-key underrated with Big Rom.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to spice things up. We've talked about Arsenal. We've talked about Lukaku. We are going to talk about one Paul Pogba. Man United absolutely smoked Leeds during the weekend. And, you guys would know in live chat, the ones that follow me on a regular basis, that after Chelsea, I do like to watch a lot of Leeds. And I kind of thought Leeds will put up some sort of fight. Look, Leeds still played decent football. It's just defensively, they just got opened up unbelievably. And I think it is got to do a lot with Paul Pogba's passing, 4 assists. I'll go to you first up, RJ, on this one. Greame Souness, whether it be yesterday or day before, I can't really remember. I think it might have been yesterday. I'm convinced now that this guy actually dislikes Pogba. He literally downplayed Paul Pogba's 4 assists by saying that, well, that's what he's there for. Why are we celebrating this? I mean, he's paid to do that. He's meant to. I don't know whether you watched the game, RJ. I watched the whole game. Scott, I'm not sure if you watched it as well. I watched the whole thing. Yeah. Pogba's passing was immaculate. And you guys know, sometimes I'm a bit critical about Pogba as well. I sometimes feel like there's too much theatrics that happen outside of football and him and his attitude and whatnot. But I'm not one of those guys that if I see him play well, that I can't praise him. I definitely will praise someone like Paul Pogba because he looked immense. So, RJ, those 4 assists, all of those passes were just immaculate passes to either release Greenwood or to either release Bruno Fernandes. I mean, what's Greame Souness talking about?
It's a tough one because I try to be objective here, and I don't like just to jump on the noise just for the sake of it. But you just watch that game in isolation, and it's like what Matisse often says online. It's about praise in isolation, criticize in isolation. So if we're looking at this game in itself, not only is 4 assists astronomical as a stat in itself, but it's the nature of the assists as well. What I very much enjoy, apart from a great goal, is seeing a beautiful pass on way through the goal. And all of those passes demonstrated a different type of skill set, like that long pass he had for Greenwood for the second goal. That first touch he did to lob it over and put Fernandes in for the first goal. For Souness to come out and say, well, he's a £100 million player, he should be doing that. Yeah, okay, world-class players are doing that. But even if you're a world-class player, put it this way. If Messi does that, if Ronaldo does that, you would say that's a fantastic effort from one of the world's best players. So regardless if you think they should be doing it, you should be praising it because it was still an unbelievable display. So it's quite, when I read those comments and I was watching him, and I think these other panelists, I think it was Richards and Neville, who was a bit quiet.
Mika Richards, Neville was like sort of on Souness's side.
It was a bit weird to watch, actually, and I'm with you, and I know Scott's similar too, and I know he's a big France supporter. I think he gets a lot of justifiable constructive criticism, sometimes destructive, which is a bit unfair, but the constructive criticism is fair given he is someone where we've seen him be up here, too many performances have been down here, and then you get pockets of performances that fluctuate too much, and the difference between world-class and class is the consistency. And unfortunately, he hasn't achieved that more often than not. But when he's on, you got to praise it for what it is. And I think Souness, in this case, made himself look a little bit underwhelming. Let's call it politely.
Yeah, man. Scott, what do you think about those comments from Souness? I found that so strange. Pogba was a different level. I honestly, Kevin De Bruyne comes into my mind for someone who passes in that manner. But he was so graceful the way Pogba was just running that show. At a moment where Luke Ayling just banged in a goal to equalize as well, you thought maybe the tide was kind of turning. Pogba just out of nowhere just starts spraying these passes and literally just turned the game. So, yeah, what do you make out of those comments from Greame Souness?
Yeah, look, I think RJ hit the nail on the head, to be honest. But I think part of the reason Pogba draws that criticism, and I think he's an absolutely classy player. I love Paul Pogba, but I think because he's such a character, your kind of attention gravitates to those guys who stand out and who are characters. And I think he's a little bit of a victim of some of that consistency that he's found, particularly early on in his Manchester United career. Now, though, I think he's in for a cracking season. I know it's only one game, but my word, they looked impressive. They looked really good and it was interesting. You kind of thought that other players would unlock Pogba to go and do more offensively, but it actually looked like Pogba was that catalyst to unlock Bruno Fernandes in that style. So it was interesting. There's been all this talk about how players need to unlock Pogba, but maybe where Pogba's at now is that he's that catalyst. He's the man that's going to make things happen and unlock others, because Bruno was sensational.
Yeah, he was different. He was different flavour that day.
I think Pogba was a big part of making him look sensational. So, yeah, good player, man. I wish we had him.
100%. I mean, I do want to... This is a very interesting comment from Marcus Rashford, because Micah Richards put out a very, very good argument on that day against Greame Souness, and Greame Souness, like a baby, just said, can we just move on? Can we move on to the next topic? I mean, let's talk about Liverpool and this and that and whatnot. Micah Richards said, you got Harry Kane, who's missing a game against City, and he's getting lauded as, let's not be cruel to Harry Kane. He's a saint, da-di-da-di-da. He's an utter professional. Let's not say anything bad about Harry Kane. And then you got someone like Pogba, who literally put on a man-of-the-match performance, 4 assists, plays out of the world. Yet there's no praise. There's only hate for this guy. I mean, do you believe... I tend to agree what Marcus Rashford's saying here to a tad bit, because I've seen Sterling cop it as well. I've seen other, black players cop it as well. And I don't seem to completely understand this stigma at times. I mean, I've talked about this recently about Rudiger and how Harry Maguire, he got jailed in Mykonos, didn't he? But his story is deemed to be as poor Harry, let's give him all the love. Whereas Rudiger, I mean, gets absolutely bashed in the media when Frank Lampard got sacked and, deemed as a bully and so on and so forth. What do you think about this one? Scott, I'll go to you first up and then I'll go to RJ.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it's about not liking black players. It's just hard to speak to. But one thing I can speak to is that they treat Harry Kane like an absolute saint. Look, he's relatively well behaved off the pitch, but the way he's carrying on now, regardless of who the player is, and it's like what I was saying before about Laka and Aubameyang, you're being paid by a club to play. You're being paid to go and represent your fans, represent your team. You're contracted. Like, we're all professional guys. If you've got a contract, you honor your contract. You do what you have to do. Yeah, but I think that the way that Kane's behaving at the moment is really poor, and he should be called out for it. I can understand if there was a gentleman's agreement between him and Daniel Levy, and Daniel Levy's gone back on that. I can understand him being upset. But maybe he needs to just come out and be honest about that and say, you know what, I'm going to play, but we had a gentleman's agreement. Daniel Levy's done this, and maybe get the fans to turn, because he has delivered for Spurs. But Spurs, on the other hand, have let him down too. But I think what he's doing right now, unprofessional, and he should be called out. Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just to echo that point, I think it is a very sensitive matter to talk about some of the motivations behind why some players get criticised versus others. But first of all, what I would say is, you do see a lot of inconsistency. And I think that as a fan base, that's just like a general motif on life, isn't it? When you get treated one way and someone else gets treated a different way, we don't like that instability. We want that consistency. So if certain players are going to be criticised, just like refereeing decisions, when you see a VAR being used for one decision and not use the other thing, how come that one was given blah, blah, blah? We just want to see consistency in our criticisms, in our praise, etc. With Harry Kane specifically, I'm very much on Scott's side with this. I understand he might feel aggrieved because the club, in his eyes, and truth is a matter of perspective, okay? In his eyes, he feels he's been let down. But conversely, at this point in time, he's employed by the club. He has millions of fans that adore him for what he does. He's a talented professional footballer. He should let his football do the talking. There are other ways to express your grievances and not let down the people that have given you the platform to elevate yourself of who you've become today. Because it's those poor old Joe Blow ticket fans that are missing out seeing their hero. Do you think Levy and the board cares? They just went out and beat Manchester City, his future destination. So the show's going to go on. No player is bigger than a club. Messi just left. Barcelona's going to go on. Yeah. So Kane, whatever counsel he's getting is wrong. It's misdirected. And what we said with Mark Bosnich last week is that for his own credibility and his own legacy, there's better ways to handle this to make himself look better and still get the desired outcome. Because him not playing might kick up a storm and eventually they won't want to put up with that because of the bad chemistry and toxicity for the dressing room. But for his sake, it doesn't look good for him to break a relationship that he's spent so long fostering and nurturing with the Spurs faithful when he could have done it more amicably, kept the fans on side and still left the club and everybody's happy. You know what I mean? So the way he's gone about this is very unprofessional. With players like Paul Pogba, who continuously via his agent flirt with the prospect of leaving the club, at least while Paul Pogba is criticised of his character at times, the character that can't be questioned is the fact that he's at least handled himself a lot more professionally than Harry Kane on the field. And that speaks volumes to me. And that's where I think fans get annoyed. And Micah Richards made the very good comment about why does he get isolated and criticised, whereas Harry Kane gets conveniently ignored and sympathised with. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I'll leave it at that.
100. Well said. Corbina with a comment here, Kane has to honour his contract. City haven't made a bid yet. We'll talk about the Kane situation. But before we do that, nearly 170 people live right now. Smash the like button, get the likes up to well over 100. And check out the pinned message right now, guys. It's a Football Thing podcast YouTube channel. Link is literally there for you. 170 of you guys right now. Click that link and please go to that particular page, YouTube page, and subscribe straight away. You get to see a lot more of RJ and Scott over there. So please do me the favor and the boys the favor as well and click that link and subscribe. Nearly 160 right now. So, all right, this is a good segue from Kabina's comment. I'll go to you, Scott, once again on this one first up. Then we'll go to RJ. Manchester City, shock loss to Spurs. Son scores that beautiful goal. City were trying their level best. I saw the highlights. I didn't get to watch the match because it was in stupid time in Australia. Then again, when I say stupid, if it was a Chelsea game, I'd be up and watching it. Just I can't be bothered watching City and Spurs, of course. But I got up, saw the highlights. Obviously, Man City were relentless with Brunei, with Mahrez, with Grealish, but they just couldn't find the back of the net. Story of their, sort of situation, which didn't really happen last season, but there were certain times it was happening as well. I mean, I feel like now they will probably go out there and get someone like Harry Kane because, I just can't see how you're going to win the league again with a false nine sort of scenario that he did last season. I mean, it paid off, but it's not going to work every single season, this whole false nine business, especially when you don't really have an out-and-out false nine. You're literally just using a makeshift false nine where last season, I believe Kevin De Bruyne at times played as a false nine. I don't even know who was the false nine yesterday. It was just a mix and match between sometimes Mahrez was in central positions, Grealish was in central position, KTB it was just a fluid sort of front section, but you do need that focal point like Harry Kane, I believe. Scott, do you think Man City now does the business and just goes, you know what, enough's enough. We just go out there and get Harry Kane?
Yeah, look, but before I start, big ups to the couple of people who have jumped over and subbed. Links there, Mrs. shouted it out. We love you guys in the live chat. jump over and sub. We want to work with you some more as well. And hit that thumbs up button. We need it on here. I said to RJ and Rob in our little group chat straight after the game, great the Spurs have won for them. I never like seeing them win. It's not really great, but
Amen.
now there's your motivation, Manchester City, to go and do the business. They've just, make no mistake, I reckon they've just seen Chelsea go and get Lukaku. They know Haaland is off limits. I think they go now and they make Harry Kane happen. They can afford it, and they need that striker. But on the flip side, Spurs were really good. I watched them play.
They were very good in the counter, and especially Lucas Moura was very good.
Son is a very underrated player too.
Yes.
I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He takes that team on his back when Harry Kane's not there, and he lifted up. It was a tremendous goal. They countered well. I think it was a case of City had just midfield overload for me. They're a team of midfielders, but there's no one at the front for the midfielders to supply. That team is crying out for a finisher. And I think if they had Kane, they're a very different beast.
Yeah, man, 100%.
What did you do you think Kane goes or?
Well, it has to be. It has to be. I think Kane wants to go to City. City are screaming out for a striker. I don't understand how you want to keep an unhappy player, from a Spurs perspective, because it's detrimental to the team. I don't even think Nuno wants him to stick around either. Nuno probably thinks, I've got a good set of lads here. I don't really necessarily need to keep someone like Harry Kane. He would love it, obviously, but when Harry Kane himself is not committed to the club, you rather not have a player that's not willing to put 100% for your club. And City, with this particular loss, this will be a kick up the backside for them to ensure that they're in the pace. So
Nuno can reinvest and bring in some of his players too. You've got to remember.
That's what's interesting for me, and it's probably me and my boring old finance economics brain ticking over, but it's what can be done with the money. So whatever it is, and I've just been following all the different sources, ESPN, 120 million plus add-ons, blah, blah, blah. Let's be conservative and just say they get 120 million cash, plus they might get a player from City. So with that 120, what can they do with that? If I'm Nuno, I'd want some assurance from Levy that we're going to reinvest it. If it's hopefully not Inter Milan because they've already been destroyed with the transfer market, but say if they were to go get Martinez, who's valued at 70, 75 million, whatever it is, if they can offset, not completely because it's very hard to replace the likes of Harry Kane, but if they can somewhat soften the blow and replace him with another forward of his choice, then I think it makes things a lot more amicable to accept that departure, especially because he doesn't want to be there. But equally, there's probably a part of the club, as well as Nuno, to say, this is a very difficult time for us. He's putting a lot of pressure on us to sort of force a way out. But if we can dig our heels in and just stand firm, he's a Tottenham player. He's got 3 years to go. Let this wave pass. Transfer window will close. This guy's a hungry professional athlete. He's going to want to start doing what he does best and bang in the goals and put this nasty chapter behind us, at least for another season. And if they can keep that core of the squad, Nuno brings in his new ideas, then all of a sudden, this was just a bit of a nasty stain that happened during the off-season. And all of a sudden, Tottenham can, if they have a good run this season and go well, all of a sudden keeping him, despite all of the distraction, was a good business move. So for me personally, I'm just fascinated to see, do they go on that side and just say, you know what, we're going to hold firm, or capitalize and strike while the iron's hot because it's best for all parties? Me personally, I think it's going to be the latter, because people might not want to talk about it, but dressing room toxicity, as we've seen at Chelsea, can be a real thing. And if they don't nip that in the bud early, any prospect of them having a promising season, despite their one-off win against Manchester City, for me will be very unlikely if he sticks around knowing that he doesn't want to be there. Even an 80% of Harry Kane people will say that's good enough. But why would you want an 80% of someone when you could have 100% of someone else plus reinvest elsewhere? You want people to be part of the team culture and to be steering in the same direction. Otherwise, you're going to have a very uncoordinated squad.
It's very interesting, Ajay, what you said, that they could opt the way where they say, you know what, we're keeping Harry Kane. No, we're not selling him to no one. He may not even play for us. We're going to just let him rot. That could be an interesting policy because let's face it, they do have the contracts up their sleeve from Spurs' perspective. Either way, they're going to pay his wages anyway. So,
it's in their court.
Yeah, they could quite possibly just say, you know what, you want to act like that? You're going to be benched. You're going to be benched. You're not going to get any game time. See what happens. See how long you can last like that. And maybe they break Harry Kane in that manner and just say, well, maybe I better start training and maybe I just better get patterned up and stay in this particular football club. But obviously that would be very, very strange if Harry Kane has had that gentleman's agreement. But in football, as Bosnich said, this gentleman's agreement could get yourself into a lot of trouble, this verbal gentleman's agreement. So you better have it all written down. And Harry Kane has to take some blame as well. You're the one who signed this lucrative long-term contract. You should have known that, sooner or later that you want to maybe leave this club and move on and then go to a different area. But he must have thought at some point that maybe he could get some trophies with Spurs, which was so foolish of Harry Kane to ever think. But that being said, we'll now go to the next topic. But before we do that, 170 nearly once again. Please smash the like button. We're only 20 likes away from 100 likes. And also the pin message for It's a Football Thing podcast YouTube channel from the boys RJ and Scott. As you guys know, this particular show, the Down Under Football Crew, is a collaboration between The Other Side of the Coin and It's a Football Thing podcast. So do check out that link, which is pinned. Literally just click on it. It will take you there, the whole 170 of you guys, and subscribe to their channel. You're going to get top content. That's all I can say. All right, let's talk about Said Benrahma. I was very, very impressed by this player. Ajay, I'll go to you first up. I didn't think West Ham were going to beat Newcastle at home. I thought Newcastle at home, they were buzzing last season at the end of the season with Callum Wilson. They obviously signed Joe Willock on a permanent basis. And the game kind of started on fire for Newcastle. They went off to a lead, but slowly but surely West Ham took full control. And one man that was in the thick of it was Said Benrahma. Obviously scored and he assisted, one really nice assist for Antonio's goal, I believe. I think this guy will have a breakthrough season. Like, obviously we've seen him in Brentford and his club is in the Premier League now. It was fantastic for Brentford. He was absolutely lighting it up. There was a moment where he was linked to Chelsea as well last season during the summer window. Didn't happen. Ended up going to West Ham, of course. And I just feel like I'm penciling him down as one of the players that are absolutely going to break through this season in the Premier League. He had a very strong preseason. It's just got that flair about him, Another Algerian player like Riyad Mahrez, lots of flair, lots of that oozing attitude, that charisma that these sort of Algerian players seem to have, or any sort of the African-based sort of players seem to have. I mean, what do you think about Said Benrahma? You feel that this could be a big season for him?
Yeah, he's like the Algerian Harry Potter. He's got a very magic aura about him, doesn't he? I just think, like your boy Hakim Ziyech, they're just players that bring that flair, that unpredictability. But equally frustrating for fans is that they are so volatile in terms of, and that game was actually a perfect example of his, Jekyll and Hyde type of performances, because his first half was a whole lot of almost and what could be's, but just lacked end product. Whereas the second half, he was very strong. And you saw, wow, this is a Premier League player, not just a Premier League player, someone that puts bums on seats, someone that makes you jump off your couch at home and say, take notice of this guy because he's going to leave a legacy and going to be on a highlights reel 20 years down the road one day. It's just whether or not he can do it week in, week out, because as we know, the Premier League, if not anything, is super physical. It doesn't leave any room for players that are flary but can't handle the intensity and the rigor and the grind of the week-to-week matches. But from what you said about his preseason, there's a lot of promising signs. And as a neutral fan that loves all games, mostly watching the Premier League each week, he's someone there from an FPL point of view. I've got my magnifying glass.
Yeah.
This guy here, he could be a bit of an X factor to draft into my team. It's just comes back to that question of, can he do it on a cold night in Stoke, as they say? So, I'm very keen to see how he develops, though. Good shout out.
Now, for sure. Scott, what's your thoughts on Said Benrahma? I'm penciling him down as one of the breakthrough players this season, and who knows where he could land up next season. I think West Ham have got themselves another asset on top of the Declan Rice asset that they have. They're going to cash in nicely on him. I know he's not going to go this season, but even next season, they're probably going to cash in around 60 million minimum. But Said Benrahma is turning out to be, if he has a tremendous season this season with goals and assists, I think they've got themselves another asset there.
We have to start calling you Mystic Miz, because you've had big ups on this guy for a while. This isn't new.
Yeah.
I know you've had big ups on him. So Mystic Miz, I think RJ was pretty much spot on. I don't like saying that he was spot on, but he was. It's just so much flair. For him personally, it's about consistency, and I think that physicality, because sometimes you find when you're a player with flair, you can be targeted physically in this league. It's not a league that's very kind to flair at all times. So it's just going to be interesting to see how he rides that problem out, because that's going to be a big barrier to overcome. But, man, he was an absolute pleasure to watch. So I'm looking forward. I'll be keeping an eye on West Ham's games even more to see him.
But even physically, Miz, I just want to say, like, when you said it, Scott, about can he handle the physicality, and I brought up the same notion, a player that immediately sprung to mind is obviously players like Eden Hazard and Jack Grealish, in the sense of, you've got to be able to physically be able to handle the constant challenges, the little niggly fouls, because, as you said, once you start setting yourself a benchmark and being known as a danger man to watch, you're attracting more attention, you're attracting a lot more of these cumulative fouls. And on the TV, it might look like one or two fouls, but the player on the receiving end, the more and more you cop these fouls, they can actually start building up and really affecting, their actual physical condition. So hopefully for his sake, he's developed himself to be able to withstand that, because I do expect a lot of challenges coming his way. And I just hope for his and West Ham's sake that he stays fit and healthy, because if he does, it could be quite an exciting season for him.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think West Ham were going to be able to keep up with what they did last season. Obviously, they finished, I believe, fifth or sixth, after Leicester. I think Leicester came fifth, and then West Ham came sixth. Obviously, West Ham are in Europe with Europa League this season. I just thought that maybe this season they just fall. Obviously, Lingard had massive part last season from January onwards till the end of the season for West Ham's rise. I thought maybe this time around they can't be able to do that. But looks like with, say, Benrahma, I know it's just the first game, but I've seen the preseason as well. It looked very lively. Maybe West Ham, if they can keep this flair player going, and these are the things. They've got a solid defense. They've always had a solid sort of structure in terms of, they know how to defend if they really needed to. But the issue with West Ham was always, well, can they win games? Can they go out there and actually have those X-factor players that can win games for them? Last season, luckily enough, it was Jesse Lingard that was helping them out. And this season looks like it's Said Benrahma. A long time ago, they had a player like, Dimitri Payet, who was a superb player for them. So it's these key players that will, make sure you get those 3 points, get the draws and turn them into 3 points. From a losing position, you end up getting a draw. So, it'll be interesting to see what West Ham does with a player like Said Benrahma if he keeps firing. It'll be very, very interesting to see indeed. All right, we are going to talk about the very last topic today. Still 150 of you guys live on a consistent basis. It's been around the 150 to 180. It's been fantastic to have you live chat at this consistent level. Please smash the like button. The likes, literally 11 likes away from 100 likes. That'll be a very, very good milestone to get for this particular show as we're still building up this show. Let's get the likes, 8 likes away now for 100 likes. Let's get those likes up and check out the boys, their YouTube channel. The link is pinned to the pinned messages right now in live comments, live chat. Literally just go out there. It's a Football Thing podcast. Please go out there and subscribe. 150 plus of you guys. You'll get to see RJ and Scott and Matt as well. Sorry, Rob as well over there, who's part of their gang. And you'll get to see a whole heap of fantastic content there too. So go and subscribe straight away. It's pinned right now. All right, boys, the last one we want to talk about is Kylian Mbappe. RJ, I'll go to you first up on this one. I mean, PSG could not have gifted Mbappe a better squad with the inclusion of Messi. I mean, if Mbappe ever had any complaints that, our squad's not ready to win the Champions League, well, you've literally got yourself Sergio Ramos, Wijnaldum, Donnarumma, Hakimi, and now Lionel Messi. I mean, RJ, what's Kylian Mbappe thinking? He apparently wants to leave, and there's some proper sources. Obviously, he's in his final year in his contract. There is always rumors. There's always been rumors that he's going to go to Real Madrid. But it seems like he wants to push for this particular move in this transfer window and go and join Real Madrid right away. I mean, this is mad. How are you leaving Messi? This is probably your best chance right now to win Champions League with PSG.
Crazy, isn't it? I thought when I saw that photo, I think it was yesterday. Who knows what? I've lost all concept of time. But when I saw that photo of all the 5 players being revealed, I thought, wow, this is a great 5-a-side team. You've got the goalie, you've got a couple of attacking-minded defenders, you've got Messi up front. This is a brilliant 5-a-side squad, just based on their signings. So, yeah, look, on one hand, it's total madness thinking, why would you want to leave a superstar team that's already been made gargantuan now with these signings? Because the old saying of it's now or never, well, this is the here and now, given that this is Messi, he's in the decline phase, but still around the peak of his powers in terms of the influence he can bring, the leadership of Ramos, the ceiling of both Donnarumma and Hakimi, and of course the workmanship of Wijnaldum supplemented by a Euro-winning Verratti and co. So you just think, if you're ever going to fulfill that legacy of the missing trophy, this is it. And guess what? You get to be at the heart and center of that sort of regime. But I put my Mbappe hat on and I just think, do I want to be someone that's a member, not the star member of that winning squad? Or do I want to write my own legacy and go to another team like Liverpool, who aren't necessarily at the peak of their powers, but they've got a title-winning manager. They were the European, not are, because we are, but they were the European champions a couple of seasons back, and they've still got enough quality in the tank to be able to muster up greatness from their perspective again. So I can understand the lure of wanting to go there. If you said it was a mid-table team, then you'd be like, what is he talking about? But it's not crazy in my mind, the fact that he wants to go and work under Klopp and play with the team as strong as Liverpool are, taking away last season's misfortunes. But I just think if I were him, my personal approach would be, let's go out with a bang this season. Let's clean up every trophy possible. I'll sign off on a good note. Then I can go and continue forging my legacy in the Premier League, because I've got 10 plus years left, and this will just be a nice, feather in the bow, so to speak. But interested to see where that one evolves, because let's talk dollars and cents. They're going to need to spend a whole lot of it to get him to come across. So it's a fascinating sort of development to follow.
I think they've. I've had Real Madrid fan Advaid. He put it nicely when I had him last time. He said that they've actually prepared financially for the Mbappe situation. They have not bought anyone in this window. They've also let go of Sergio Ramos. They made a bit of money, obviously, with Varane. So they've obviously reduced a lot of their wage bills through that, and they've made some money as well. And they're ready. They've got that kitty ready for someone like Mbappe. So I've got no concerns that Real Madrid won't be able to pull that off. I think they will. I'm just, as you said, RJ, someone like Mbappe, you've got that missing trophy and you've been complaining about it. I mean, now all of a sudden, when the team is been set out for you, now you want to leave. Like, I don't understand. Scott, what's your thoughts about this whole situation?
Listen, Mbappe isn't around to be Robin. He wants to be Batman, boys. Who wants to be the sidekick? He doesn't want to be that sidekick. He wants to be the main man, the leading man.
But you know what, Scott? Then why complain? Why complain? Why was he complaining?
Yeah, look, Messi going in, and I had this argument the other day. I find Messi going to PSG sickening. Like that concept of that team, the mockery it makes of financial fair play. I don't want them to win the Champions League. I would rather, no, not Spurs. I would rather Chelsea win it back-to-back.
All right.
Than PSG. You can clip it, Liz.
Scott's a closet Chelsea fan.
I don't know. Having the talk today, I've been to Stamford Bridge. I've done the stadium tour there, so.
I've been to Emirates, to be honest.
There you go. We'll shake hands digitally. He wants to be the main man. That's Mbappe's personality, and I could see him being someone who could get quite toxic if he wasn't the main man. Now, if you've just brought in Messi, you've already got the egos of Ramos, Neymar. There's a lot of egos in that squad. If I'm Pochettino, I actually think, okay, well, maybe we need to let Messi go. Mbappe go. Let him be the star man somewhere else. We'll knock him out. We'll teach him a lesson in the Champions League and go from there. But he wants to be the main man. Real Madrid, you are that main man.
Could be an instance of letting him go now that he's so young and come back later on when he's fully in his prime as well. So just like what we're seeing with Lukaku, just because you go now at a very young age doesn't mean the door's fully closed. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does do in that space. But either way, if he was to make space to go to Real Madrid, or if Liverpool came knocking because they're obviously keen admirers of him, either way, it's going to be a huge coup whoever gets him, because clearly we know the boy's talented. He's got a lot of confidence. He didn't play the Euros the way he wanted, but any team would be blessed to have him on the squad.
Just quickly, Scott, as well, you were saying that Mbappe will probably be the main man, but still got Hazard, Benzema, and Bale that are balling out over there.
Chelsea Hazard and Real Madrid Hazard are not the same. They're not the same.
Benzema and Bale?
Nah, look, if Mbappe goes there, he's the main man. And for him as a young man, I think football's changed a bit, boys. It's players are fighting battles on the pitch, but they're also fighting battles off the pitch, building their brands. Your brands before were like whoever sponsored your jersey, or you might be a Nike player, but the players want to build their own brands too. Now, I think having Messi there for Mbappe hurts his brand because he's not the front man. The talk's about Messi.
Yeah.
So I think for Mbappe going to Madrid, being the star man there, he's the man, builds his brand. But there was a comment somewhere in the live chat. I can't remember where it was exactly, but it was something along the lines of Mbappe at this point maybe isn't as good as he thinks he is. Like, if he stays and he could play, maybe he could, if he was humble enough, learn a little bit from Messi. Maybe he could refine his game by training with Messi. He does seem to me, and I follow the French national team. RJ knows that. I think he seems like someone with an ego and someone who that might have rubbed the wrong way.
Comes across that way, doesn't he? For a young player
situation.
For a youngster, it's quite insane. Like, look at someone like Neymar, who was literally apparently wanted to give his number 10 jersey to Messi, because that's what Messi is. But Messi apparently has taken in number 30, was it, or something like that? That was his first jersey that he had at Barcelona. We tend to say that Neymar has a bit of an ego or whatnot, but Neymar completely, understands the level of Messi and whatnot. I just find it very, very strange that, Mbappe wouldn't at least enjoy one season with Messi and then go all the way and see if he can win the Champions League. I honestly hope they don't win it because, what they've done right now is it's FIFA mode. It's literally FIFA mode. Donnarumma, Hakimi. Yeah, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Neymar, Messi, Mbappe. They've still got Icardi. I mean, it's just insane.
But what they say? A team of stars is not as good as a star team. So it'd be very fascinating to see. Just because you put all the good pieces of the puzzle, they're not always going to fit. And Pochettino, as much as I like him generally, he has not demonstrated today an ability to get and foster a serial winning sort of side.
True.
He's never won a trophy.
He had it. Well, didn't he walk into the French game in his first game?
Oh, yeah. Then he won the French Cup or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're right. He hasn't really done anything to date. He's been like the bridesmaid. He's never been the bride. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do with a superstar squad. But I don't buy it necessarily that they're going to win.
We'll see. He didn't end up winning the League One either. So, it was, I believe it was Lille that ended up winning it. So, first he's got to try and win that as well as a test, and then obviously Champions League is a whole new ball game. I'm pretty sure we're going to go quite far once more. So we've got that strong belief in our squad, that team bonding. As RJ said, the team is greater than the individual. I completely feel that in our squad. So let's see what happens. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us till the end of this show for this week. We'll be back next week with whole new different topics as the week continues on. Some announcements to make before we go. First of all, still over 150 people live. Smash the like button. Let's get the likes up to as close to 150 as we can. We've reached 100, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for that effort. But let's try and see if we can get to 150 before we close things up. And also, the pinned comment, ladies and gentlemen, check that out. The boys RJ, Scott, and Rob, they run a particular channel called It's a Football Thing podcast, where you're going to see a lot more of these conversations in that channel. So do go out there and subscribe straight away, guys. We've still got over 130. Literally, the link is available there. All you got to do is just click on that pin message, click on the link, will take you to the page, subscribe, and enjoy these two as well. So finally, before we go, tomorrow is Tuesday, so we'll see if I'll probably do another round of Chelsea transfer news or Chelsea news. You'll either see myself or maybe myself with Ishan. Might even go solo. Let's see what happens. If Ishan's available, then Ishan will come through. On Wednesday, surprise, we will talk a lot more about it, but just a little snippet. Chelsea's got a open training session on Wednesday. Hopefully, obviously we'll get to see Romelu Lukaku and a whole heap of other superstars. And we are going to be doing live stream. So we're going to have one of our members of the channel go into the open training session, and we'll be doing a live stream from Cobham, the open training session, and hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy that. We'll be commentating through. Hopefully, if we get any of the players even to just shout out the other side of the coin, that'd be great. Or even just walk up to the camera, that'd be great. So do look out for that stream, which will be around 11 a.m. UK time. That's when the training starts as well. So do look out for that for Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be quite interesting, that open training session. So yeah, until next time, everyone, take care. And we shall see you guys very soon. So yeah.
Take care.